Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. You know what? I want to start off with Nina and Willow. Because after Willow is trying to prepare him for life without her, one second, it's not really a conversation he's ready to sit there and hear. So, Nina, which is outside with Sunny, she's feeling really bad. She doesn't even know she's going to go to the wedding and everything like that. She decides to come in there to talk to Willow. And right off the bat, Willow is super defensive. Super defensive. Now, this scene is kind of difficult to judge. This isn't like the last scene when I had a debate with my live stream, people in the live stream. And we were sitting there talking about whose fault this was, who was more right, who looked more wrong, and so forth. This is when Willow fell, and Nina just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, to a pregnant woman after she already said no. This one was a little bit different because Willow right off the bat was just super defensive. And, Nina wants to sit there and apologize for her not being able to save her and everything like that. And, Willow's like, oh, there you go again, making this all about you. And I'm like, listen, as much as I don't like Nina, and I totally understand your reasons for why you're being super defensive, do you really think this is the best time, the best way you want to sit there and spend your final days on this planet is by having it out with her one last time and being super defensive, as opposed to just listening to what she says? Maybe when she talks like that, it's just kind of second nature. It doesn't necessarily mean that she is self-absorbed all the time and it's all about her. That's just kind of the way that she comes across this little bit. She is genuinely sorry that she couldn't save her life. It's not, oh, let's just make the conversation about me. It's like, I want to just kind of take it down just a tad bit. So Nina has a necklace, and and she decides to give it to Willow. Willow just turns around and is just like, she wants nothing to do with her. So she just leaves it on the bed and she walks off. Now, on one hand, you are on your deathbed, alright? So it's kind of an oxymoron for me to sit there and say this, but it's hard to sit there and judge someone on their deathbed. It's like, yo, listen, I'm going to be going at any minute. Okay, so if I want to be an a-hole, I can be an a-hole if I want. That's just the type of revenge I'm going to sit there and give you. It's like I gave you that sort of energy, when I was up and walling, kicking and everything like that. I'm going to still give you that same energy, even though I'm on my deathbed. So I'm like, on one hand, all right, fine. On the other hand, it's like she's trying to reach out with you, maybe trying to, have some sort of, make some sort of peace with you before your final hour. You gotta sit there and look at it from Nina's shoes. She just found out that she's your daughter, and yeah, okay, if you were alive, whatever, maybe y'all may not have been the best of friends, but she's doing her hardest to sit there and try. She just found out that you're her daughter, and you're already about to pretty much pass away. Would it really hurt you to have an ounce of compassion for her? You know? So it's kind of a, it's one of those things where it's like I can see both sides. I can see both perspectives in this situation. Now, eventually, Michael does come back and he does sit there and talk to her and be like, hey, listen, your feelings are valid, and I'm sorry for if I seem like I dismissed them, because it's a very, 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 very difficult conversation to have, and I don't expect anyone to really sit there and take it well. It's just one of those situations that it is what it is. Liz is super adamant on turning herself in. She's super adamant on turning herself in. It's actually kind of interesting this week because if you watch all four soap operas, at least three of them want to turn himself in. You got Jennifer that wants to turn herself in. You got Taylor. Well, Jennifer from Days of Our Lives that wants to turn herself in. You got Taylor from B&B that wants to turn herself in. And then you got Liz that wants to turn herself in. And at least, I'm not going to lie. I really hope that Liz is going to take the Taylor route, which is like one day she wants to turn herself in. Somebody's like, hey, don't do it. She's like, okay, fine. The next day she's like, no, I really want to turn myself in. It just goes to that back and forth thing. Because I'm going to be honest, that is getting on my nerves. Um, but Liz is, she made it very crystal clear, and she was like, I want you to respect my decision. And, even though Finn is like, hey, Nicholas left, why should you be one that's holding the bag when everything is said and done? But she's like, I want to, I want to have a clear conscience. I want to, be a great role model and blah, blah, blah. Just all these different reasons why she wants to turn herself in. So I'm like, fine. Turn yourself in and just shut up about it. So she's going to make that decision, which, to be honest, I don't know what good is actually going to do, but I guess we'll sit there and say. Um, no, I take that back. There's a good chance that she may actually um, be in a better position as far as the course is concerned if she turns herself in, as opposed to her lying and just waiting until the truth comes out. So I will sit there and say that. Now, the rest of this episode is pretty much just filler, but after um, Hat Daddy, and Curtis, kind of hanging out for a little bit, and Marshall makes Drew promise him that if he starts to act up, if there's any sort of sign of like him kind of having a breakdown or whatever, that Drew and take him out, take him out of the church ASAP. There's one point in this episode when Curtis is talking to Taggart, and I'm just like, bro, really? See, for me, I'm not going to blame this on my sign as far as being a Leo. I'm just going to sit there and blame this on me being a person that holds his grudges. Okay? So, when Tiger, approaches Curtis and he's like, hey, listen, can we sit there and have a talk? This is about, your past or whatever with you and Portia. Kurt's like, yeah, well, this isn't really the time or the place to do this now. And basically, he's like, no, 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 no. What happened in the past happened in the past. It's like, wait, how do you just sit there and just let something like that go? Like, how do you just sit there and say, well, listen, you were banging my wife back in the day, whatever. And, I really should be mad and really angry and, even want to sit there and have a fist fight with you. Nah, what's in the past is the past. It's cool, man. It's cool. I mean, you were there for her when I wasn't. So, you just gotta sit there and blame myself. Like, how do you just let something like that go? Like, how do you just like, listen, I would sit there and say that people that are able to do that are better men than me, you know. And I understand that he wants to sit there and take the high road for training, be like, hey, you were there for my daughter, and, you're going to be part of our family. And, even though we're not family, I'm cool with allowing you to be part of my daughter's family and stuff like that. I'm like, that's great. Okay. In a perfect world, that is a very full house moment. In reality, I sat there and looked at that scene like, how are you just gonna sit there and act like this dude that was practically blowing out your wife's back for years, and you're just like, nah, it's in the past, it's in the past. Must have lost your mind. Ain't no way. And no. And of course, the excuses. Stella has one of those 24-hour, 48-hour bugs that she just can't make it, and she doesn't want to sit there and spread any germs or whatever to the family, so she's not going to be there. I'm just like, no, she doesn't want to look herself in the mirror and look Curtis in the eyes, knowing that she's going to be lying to him. Now Josh is there just in case I forget about her. Um, Harry's there. Portia even allows Trina to bring Spencer as a date. You know, like she's like, hey, listen, he's never going to be my favorite person, but I see the friendship that y'all two got. So if you want to invite him, you can invite him. So I thought that was pretty nice, especially given her misgivings about Spencer. Um, Also, given the fact that Portia kind of knew that Trina was talking to Spencer, she was like, you know what, listen, I know that she wants him there, whatever, so I'm just gonna make peace for today. Now, Ava called over Austin. He's like, hey, listen, we got to move the body because Liz, her little pesky conscience or whatever is kind of getting in my way of my plans as far as me, not going to jail. So we got to sit there and move this body like now. But Spencer does come by, and Spencer's like, hey, listen, if my dad's going to be a problem because he doesn't want to sit there and sign over his rights to the baby and stuff like that. So Ava, of course, lies to him and it's like, well, Nicholas left the country. We had an argument the night before, and now he's gone, and we don't know if he's going to come back because he burned a lot of bridges. He has a lot of money, and I just don't see him coming back. So Spencer gets a text from Trina, and it's pretty much the invite. So he leaves. He's like, yo, listen, I'm gonna be there. And Ava's like, all right, so we gotta move that body. And Austin, at first, I thought Austin was gonna come back and be like, the body's gone. I literally wrote that in my notes. But Austin's like, listen, it's not a good idea. First of all, it's daylight. Second of all, we don't know who could just walk in at any point in time. Seeing how Spencer just kind of just walked in like this place is still his, we're not going to take no chance. We're going to do this at night. So Ava's like, let's go to the wedding because Austin was like, we need alibis. We need to sit there and make, keep appearances. So Austin is dragged into the party as well. I mean, it's the to the wedding as well. Oh, Laura's there also. She didn't really do anything. She talked to Taggart for a little bit. The conversation really didn't really go anywhere. They just talked about the hook killer briefly. Because apparently people, some people actually remember that there's still a hook killer out there. Oh, also Liz. I don't understand how Liz was blaming herself for Britt's death. I don't get that. You know, I know that she was saying, well, we kept Esme because we thought that she was the hook, but the hook struck again, and it turned out it wasn't Esme, and I'm responsible for it or something like that. And I'm just like, how? How? I feel like this is the second time in my review that I was sitting there trying to connect two dots that really didn't make any sense. And the first one was Days. Now I'm just like, how are you responsible for Britt's death? I don't get that. I feel like that's more of a push for her to quote unquote do the right thing, but whatever. On a side note, just as a prediction, and I didn't read this many spoilers or anything like that, I feel like Liz may be caught up in Nicholas' disappearance. Because once the truth comes out, and they find out that like Nicholas may be dead or whatever, because I still don't think that he's dead. Once they find out that he's dead, they're gonna be like, oh, maybe Liz did it, and Abe's gonna be like, well, I mean, you didn't want to go to jail, so I mean, you're in jail. I mean, it's one and the same, right? You're gonna go to jail sooner or later, so whatever. Um, I feel like that may be a scenario. Just my random prediction. And, I forgot to mention Sunny, and at first, I was going to sit there and say Sonny did what Sonny usually does, nothing. But I want to sit there and take a different approach because Sonny has always been, especially when I started watching, it's always been like front and center, the main man. He's the ratings goal or whatever you want to sit there and call him. But lately, Sonny has been doing more of a supportive role for the last two couple of episodes or last few couple episodes. So I guess it's not a bad role, but it's like when you think of Sonny, it's like Sonny is not known for being a supportive role. He's more like leading man front and center. So I almost forgot that Sonny was in this episode, and I don't even remember if I talked about Sonny because let's be honest, he didn't really do too much of anything. He didn't encourage Nina to go to the wedding, so she's going to go to the wedding. Um, on the plus side, I do have my cake, so I thought I was going to be able to crack it over today, but yeah, it's not going to wind up happening. I still can't believe that Portia is just they're just going to go through this whole wedding, and of course you saw the previews. And George's like, well, don't you think it'd be better if you sit there and complain? I was like, Jordan, don't you think it'd be better if you just told Curtis that he might be, because the thing is, even Portia doesn't know. Portia didn't do a DNA test, so even she doesn't know. But I'm just like, you keep sitting there trying to bait Portia into quote unquote doing the right thing. I'm like, instead of you waiting for her to do the right thing as far as tell Curtis that, Trina might be his daughter, why don't you just do it? But of course, if that scenario did happen, then I really wouldn't have much to talk about. But I don't know. I was just sitting there thinking about that because, like, she came to her so many times. I think you should unlearn your burden. I think you should sit there and tell the truth. I think it'd be a good idea. It's like, Jordan, you can tell by the conversation that you're having with this woman that she is going to continue to lie, be duplicitous, whatever you want to sit there and call it. Why don't you just sit there and just, cut the middleman? Just do it yourself. You know that there's a good possibility. Just do it yourself. And now, whatever. I could just sit there and go down this rabbit hole forever. But I feel like that's about it for the most part. I can't really think of anything else. Oh, yeah. Spencer did wind up going to the church, and Josh was like, Trina, well, I guess I'm gonna be alone. It's a good thing I have you as my date or whatever. And Trina's like, well, I do have a date, and of course, Spencer was right there, sitting there smiling, and I don't know how that whole conversation is gonna go. I don't know if there's gonna be animosity. I don't know if Josh is gonna sit there and just kind of just chill for a little bit, because to be fair, I do understand where Josh is coming from. It's very It's a crappy thing when you really think about it, Spencer choosing sides. Spencer's known them both since they were children. If anything, he should be more neutral and be like, hey, listen, I'm gonna stay out of it, rather than just, oh, well, that's my boy right there, we're men, we gotta stick together kind of thing. Because I feel like that's what morally, that's what it's about. It's like, oh, I'm a guy and he's a guy, so we gotta sit there and stick together, as opposed to being like, you know what, Josh is my friend. She had my back or whatever. Maybe not when he came back to town, but like they grew up together, instead of just taking Cam's side. But of course, Josh is not there treating Cam like a toilet seat, so, there is that. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Have a great, safe weekend. Um, I'll see you tonight for the live. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. It's going to be a lot of fun. I love doing these lives. I love Cynthia talking to people in the lives and stuff like that. And also, if there's anything that I missed or anything you want to sit there and just talk about specifically during that live stream, you can sit there and do it then. So, yes. With that being said, I'm going to go. Thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video.